Morning. Welcome to La Jolla Ranch. This is CJ. Thought I'd make a video this morning talking about what it's like to live and work in Mexico. Just a little background. I've lived and worked in several foreign countries. Started in Thailand 2013 to 2017. And then went to Kuwait for just a year and 2 months. The place drove me nuts. Of course, nowadays you couldn't even go there because of the APAC neocon synagogue of Satan wars that they've got going on. But at the time that I was there, it was a very unpleasant thing. Didn't enjoy it at all. Money was good, literally no taxes, no bills, and I still got out of there. That's how bad it was. So after that, I came to Mexico. Been here for several years now, so just thought I'd give a little breakdown of what it's like to live and work here. You know, Thailand was something that I expected to be totally different, and it was. You know, because the culture and Buddhism, and you're on the other side of the world, and most countries in the world don't do immigration like white countries do. So, yeah, that was the first time I had done it, so it was a huge adjustment, and I did the best I could with it. But after you've gone through it once, it's quite a bit easier to deal with. You know, you've done it once, so you know how to make the adjustments and so on. And so the Kuwait was easier, and Mexico being closer to home, I found that, yeah, you can deal with it. Plus, I can speak enough Spanish to get by and talk to anybody from a government official down to a man on the street. So it's nice. Not perfect at all by any means, but anyhow, the purpose of the video is basically to explain the surprises living here, and then some of the interesting observations that I've been able to find in my time here. So first, I like to start with the difference in the people. In Southern California, we got about 50% of the population is Mexican, but the Mexicans that live in the U.S. are nothing like the ones that live here. You know, the ones that stay here, the ones that have no need to go to the U.S. Very different group of people. And in this particular place in Mexico that I live in, it's a different crew. Like, some of them look like they're straight from Spain. You know, the criollos, as they call them here. There's quite a few. So some of my students, you know, they've got green eyes. A few have red hair and so on, which is fine, whatever. But I just never saw Mexicans looking like that living in Southern California. Never, not once. So that was the first thing I noticed. And the other thing that stands out quite remarkably is the fact that there's no middle class. And that really changes everything, because I grew up in the United States and we have a middle class there, and I didn't understand what a difference it makes to not have a middle class. And essentially what that means is you either have a home or an office like that, or it's ghetto like this, right? There is literally no middle ground. And the effect that has are the wealthy people here. They think their you-know-what doesn't stink, and that all those people below them, they look down on. They just literally stick their nose in the air. And I don't like it. I can't stand it, in fact. I can't stand rich Mexicans. You know? It actually was one of those things that made me proud as an American. We don't, you know, we make fun of rich people who act like that. Nouveau riche, right? Not here. Here it's like, I'm rich, look at my car, look at my house, look at my clothes, I'm so special. you better kiss my ass. And of course, rich people in Southern California know better than to act like that. In fact, I know multimillionaires, people that were 50, 60 million, in assets and wealth. They would dress in shorts and t-shirts and go into a dive bar. As long as it was a safe place to go and you didn't have to deal with, safety issues. But here, I've had Mexicans tell me, oh, you go to that place, that's low class. And that's the second thing I'd like to bring up is the classism. Again, something that's hardly present in Southern California. And because of the middle class, So here it's like, you go to the Constitucion and you play pool at such and such a place. Like, yeah? Why would you go there? That's low class. Like, excuse me? And the place they're talking about is like a long, probably 3/4 of a mile long pedestrian walkway, stone pathway, bars, restaurants, shops, churches that are hundreds of years old. And it would be like the equivalent of the 3rd Street Promenade in Santa Monica or something like that. I mean, nobody in Southern California thinks the 3rd Street Promenade is low class. They just don't. So that really shocked me and quite frankly angered me, because I'm looking at the people who are saying this nonsense and I'm not impressed with them at all. I mean, these are not like heavyweights or intellectuals. They're not engineers or doctors or software people, whatever. They're not anything like that at all. So for me, it's what my dad would have called a lightweight. These are lightweight people. They don't have gravitas. They don't have intellectualism. They don't read. They can't talk to you about a multitude of subjects. They're not polymaths to any degree at all. And so, unlike my experience growing up in Southern California, you meet wealthy people like that, they often do have gravitas. They are humble. They will wear shorts and a t-shirt. They don't care. You wouldn't even know it. I once met Ron Kovic in a bar in Southern California, the guy that wrote Born on the 4th of July, and I didn't even realize it was him. And I said, wow, nobody's going to believe that I met you, He told me about Tom Cruise and everything. You know what he said? I'm glad I met you. Me, like nobody. But a Mexican of a similar stature would never talk to you, much less say something like that. So they're not good. They're not stand-up people. They don't have gravitas. They're lightweights. I'm not impressed with them in any way. And then the fact is that everybody knows about the narco culture here and all of that. But it's actually much worse than that. It's not like every single person totes drugs and runs them up through, trucks and speedboats or something. No. There's a whole category of that industry involving laundering the money, as they call it, lavando el dinero, right? Washing the money. That's how they say it in Spanish. And so what looks like a respectable franchise of bakeries in town is nothing more than a money laundering operation. You heard me right. The realtor place, the restaurants, the panaderias, all of it. It's a money laundering operation. And that's when I realized that what's happening is these people are lightweights because all they're doing is running the money laundering operation. They're not intellectuals because they aren't. And you see it in the kids. The kids aren't smart. The kids don't have gravitas because their parents don't. And that to me has been one of the biggest surprises. Like the whole narco thing, everybody running everything. That's true, but it's much deeper. And I think that is where I'd like to bring this video to an end, that even the person that looks legit isn't. And the dead giveaway to me as a teacher is seeing the students. Like, your parents can afford this school, and yet you're that unintelligent? You have that low of an IQ? And I verified this, by the way. I'm not making this up. I've learned this from my Mexican colleagues. They told me. They know. They know everything. So with that, I wanted to thank you for listening, and I hope you learned something. Thanks so much.